What is up, everybody? Welcome back to an all-new episode of Toy Addicts Anonymous. And today we're doing an SDCC 2024 recap. I got my buddy Carlos, the Badass Reviews, in the house. And special guest Break Something is also in the house today to geek out and talk about Comic-Con. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh man, that's awesome, dude. I it was kind of short notice, but I'm like, dude, let me see if I can get my buddy Brick on here.
Summer break, baby.
Time difference, But yeah, man, thanks a lot for joining us. There's definitely a lot to talk about. Eventually, Mega J is also going to jump in on here.
Oh, cool.
With us. So it's a party, man. It's a SDCC post SDCC party.
Let's get the Pinoys to talk about some SDCC. All right. Yeah, I haven't been able to hang out with Mega J in a while, and I'd love to see him too. That'd be great. Look at that. That guy's making an appearance again. I love when I was with Carlos the other day, he was massaging that thing's ears.
I bought that for my daughter. I think she was probably like 2.5 or something like that when it came out, and she was terrified of that thing.
Oh. Really?
Now she's like seeking it out, and she occasionally asks for it. But man, she was terrified of that when she first saw it.
This one, right?
Yeah, the Mattel one.
Yeah,
the plush
That's
one.
the one that comes with a little pouch, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like it's cute and all, but I guess for kids it's something foreign. So to them it's scary.
Yeah, I got it for my daughter, but imagine Victoria now is 11, so she's not playing with this anymore. So she put it on my toy room. She's like, "Daddy, I think you will like this better than me."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay,
sure, I'll take another toy."
Yeah, why not?
I never made the attempt to get my kids some Grogu. I asked them, but they were we were talking about Galaxy's Edge off camera earlier. They like those little, like the ones that are meant to be kind of like in universe, that are like supposed to be like handmade little stuff versions of like a stormtrooper, Mon Calamari. They're cool looking. They look like real rough, kind of like like Jyn Erso had one when she was a kid in Rogue One. Like
right.
They're super into those.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, I have my daughter.
That one you have in there is probably a little too like realistic and creepy for kids.
Well,
I get it.
I still have my daughter's R2 that she built at Galaxy Edge when she was like maybe like 2 years old. I helped her build one, and I remember she wanted to call him Mac 1. And that's the name we put with the little stickers. Nice. And I still have that toy in my display.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's cool. Like,
all right, so let's talk.
Let's jump.
So I unfortunately could not attend this year. I hope 2025 yeah, 2025. It's like War Machine telling Tony next time.
Next year, let's go.
I think I could have gone, okay, because Mega J actually offered for me to come, and he had an extra pass, but it was like at the last minute to book a flight.
Yeah,
and the timing, it was my wedding anniversary on the same weekend, so I wasn't gonna leave my wife alone and go to Comic-Con.
You will be divorced by now.
I would have had all my shit waiting, outside the door when I got back. But next year we're gonna try to do it like a Comic-Con / anniversary celebration getaway, whatever. Because that's
cool.
Our anniversary is July 26th.
Yeah, I'm planning to take my family to next
year. That always coincides with Comic-Con, so she's never been out there. We went out to Anaheim for the last PowerCon that was in California, and she loved it. We went to Burbank. We flew in there, and then we were in Burbank, and we went to Anaheim for the show, and that was a blast. So she's dying to go back to Cali.
She went to Legion's Con.
Yeah, she went to Legion's Con in Jersey in 2021, right?
2022.
2022, yeah. So, she's not like a geek like us and stuff, but you know, she knows how big I am for that stuff, and like she gets her certain things, you know, like the dinner experience and here and there, and
Yeah, my wife and my daughter are the same thing. I remember when I was in PowerCon, they went to restaurants, museums, parks, and everything. And I mean, I was like at the con, and they have a blast.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, everybody has fun. You go and geek out, and if that's not your wife's thing, she can go and geek out on her own stuff, you know?
But I need them to make the line for me.
Man, SDCC is a trip. It's a big thing. The last time I was actually there was 2011, I want to say.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
2011, and my kid was just like a brand new little one. So we were all down there. I'm originally from the LA area, and I have friends in San Diego. So we're like visiting people, and then someone was like, "Hey, why don't you take my badge?" Yes, that's a thing that happens. And so I was like, "Hey, yeah, I went for the day." And that was the last time I was physically there. And then actually, my wife went with me, I think in 08. She didn't go 09, but she went with me in 08. And she had a great time. I mean, she was just like, I mean, she's definitely like super nerdy, not like a collector, but she loves, you know, watching stuff and reading stuff. And so we had a good old time, like walking around. But these days, you know, I just came back from Japan. Like that, her and my two kids, 10 and 13, or sorry, now 11 and 13, they know what happens. They know Papa gets lost. He's going to take a crap ton of pictures. He's just going to be like, you know, like he's in his own world. So it can be a little dangerous and boring for them too. It's all of a sudden like I disappear. So I almost went this year. My wife ended up going she's in Texas right now. So I'm alone with the kiddos, but I was just going to go down and like hang out with whoever, if someone wanted to lend a badge, great. Otherwise I was just going to check out the stuff around the thing, but like housing's a drag. And I literally would have driven up from LA on Sunday and driven back on Wednesday. I was like,
yeah, that's a long drive. I drove that before.
It doesn't sound fun. But that's a tricky thing. You know, it's like, it's always awesome to be there. But flip side, if you're like us and not there, like we get to sit back and sort of see the coverage and see people's Instagram. And we kind of get like this broad thing. I know if I were there, I'd be so stuck on like, I'm looking at this and it's so overwhelming. You can't like see the forest for the trees. So I know people who were there and they were like, wait, what was announced? I missed that. You know, like, because you can only see what you can see. So,
absolutely. It's like you have to prioritize. And I think I read.
Yeah, just want to say, if you've never been to, like, for the folks who have never been, like, there's, you know, toy cons, even other Comic Cons, but like it's so much like mixed in with the industry of like Hollywood and everything, and it's like, but whether it's comics, of course, at its root, but like all the designer stuff and like artists and, you know, everything you can imagine that's sort of like licensed objects, backpacks, t-shirts, whatever is there. Indie artists are there that have like literally nothing to do with comics, but it's like fun, geeky stuff. Anime stuff is there, and it's huge, and it's like sort of takes over that area of San Diego. And so it's like, it's hard to see it all. So I don't know. I kind of like, honestly, maybe in my old age, kind of sitting back on the internet. Oh, what popped up? So
yeah, I think what Brick says is true. I mean, I think I went to like 5 to 6 Comic-Cons in a row. But I was press through figures.com. And you're like, oh shit, you're on to Comic-Con, and it was free. But dude, it's so exhausting because one, as a geek, you want to get your exclusives, right? Yeah. But then you got appointments left and right with different toy companies. Yeah. And I'll be honest, not all the toy companies and the appointments were ones that I was looking forward to. You know, we had like interviews with Monogram and other companies that do non-action figure type stuff. Right. And it's like, oh God, I'd rather go and do the line for Hasbro. You know what I mean? But I remember reading a couple of years back, it was like a survivor's guide to Comic-Con, and it's really like you got to choose a lane, right?
Yeah, you do.
When you go there, it's like, am I going to do panels, or am I going to do exclusives, or am I just going to roam and explore? So I think, you know, I wouldn't say I'm a veteran, but going there so many years in a row, what I would do, and this would be the first time I go as an actual guest, I would go and I would designate a day to do the exclusives, if there are any that are interesting to me. I would do a day to explore and then one day for panels. Because if you try to do it all in one day, there's no way you're going to get any of them done. Because panels, you got to queue. Exclusives, you got to queue.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got, you know, I'm in Florida. So then you got to ship all this shit back from the West Coast to the East Coast, which is like pretty expensive nowadays.
Yeah,
so it's almost like exhausting to just go over all, you know, the different levels that you go through when you're at the con. You know, I was looking at Mega J's coverage. Poor guy was walking around filming everything, and he's there like huffing and puffing, and he's like, oh my god, look at this line. Oh my god, there's so many people bumping into people. Excuse me, it's really like that. And at some points,
dude, it was the line he made just for the queue for the Dragon Ball stuff outside of the con.
See, I can't hang with that no more.
And then after that, you need to make, I mean, the most insanity thing was like, I saw a video of the Funko Pop line inside, not even the queue, right? So inside, they have this thing that is like a train. People going around the whole con, and then the security guys, it was like 5 security guys, they picked you from the line. Go, you can go in. Oh, you can go in. Like
random?
Randomly.
I can't hang with that kind of stuff, man.
You see, I'm not that big of, I don't collect pops like that.
No, but I'm not saying just pops. My thing is, like Brick said something that is to me really like, I was like, I'm with you the 100%. Like for me, for example, covering the event, right? Because I put like tons of pictures, images, videos of the whole con.
Yep.
From here, from my house, I was able to see everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything in a macro, right? Yeah. And I was picking and choosing. Oh, let me get this image. Let me get this video. Let me get this. Let me get that. Oh, look, this thing. This. If you're there, you're not gonna see maybe like 3 things out of all of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not just that, but also the exclusive. You have no idea how many people were sending me messages. Hey, dude, you need this exclusive? Hey, I'm in the line for this. Do you need this? And I was like, no, dude, because the only exclusive that I was like kind of like wanted, it was the Jada Violent Ryu from Street Fighter, and this one, which I ordered online, and I ordered the Ryu online. He's still online. You know, so man, dude, I mean, the Dragon Ball stuff is already up for pre-order.
Talking about exclusives, you want to get your mind blown? So one of the Comic-Con exclusives that I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to get it, but I went online and it was available. I can't believe it's already here at the house.
Yeah, those things ship fast.
Dude, this is this shipped today. Look,
this thing is so cool, bro.
Oh man, look at you guys with your toys. Those are super fun, man. Those totally take one back for sure.
And then Mezco.
I just went back to KB Toys right there.
Oh, good. And then Mezco, the 2 exclusive for Mezco, they were for pre-order before the con.
Yeah.
So why?
The only other one that I want that hopefully it'll still be available is the Once a Man Cobra Commander. You had your classifieds.
Which one? The Cobra,
the Cobra Commander, the Snake Cobra La.
Well, that's gonna be next week, I believe.
Next week. for
Yeah,
not.
you're gonna get a chance at that, and
Oh.
that's a tricky thing these days. You know, it's funny. Adam from Highly Articulated, when we were talking sort of AWOC, he's got a real strong perspective about like, man, you know, I really think that exclusive should truly be exclusive, and I get it. It gives like people that incentive and sort of rewards you for going. So like, I get that, and as you've kind of described already, Carlos, some of that is a little bit lost. Can you imagine being those folks who like, I waited in line and then here you are like, look, I got this. So like, I get that part of it, but honestly, man, it's getting harder and harder to get passes. It's super hard to get there. And like for someone like yourself, you were saying, Jorge, like, oh, I got to ship everything back. Like for me, I'm like in California. It's like, oh, throw it in the car. But like, I can't even wrap my head around that. When you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, you got to go like somewhere, pack it all up, ship it, pay for that. And I'm just, it's a lot. So, I don't know. I guess honestly, it's also old age. I'm old, man. So I'm also like,
I tell myself, I don't think I will survive.
It's like just to have the figures a couple of like maybe 2 months ahead or maybe a couple of weeks ahead. Yeah. Because you're gonna get everything on pre-order the next week.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there's stuff that's super rare that doesn't go online. Like for example, that Dark Wolf from previews, they only made like what, like a couple hundred.
No, but that was online too.
It was online also.
Yes, sir. It was online.
Oh, was it really? Probably because
I'm sure it was like 100 online.
That's the real tricky thing. It's like, yeah, at the one I can imagine being a producer, right? Making toys, and you're like, I want to offer these folks some things. So what happens when you don't sell them and you're sitting on this stuff?
Dude, it was for pre-order. They have like this site, like kind of like what Jada does with the exclusive. I don't know.
Next level,
something like that. Mm-hmm. They did the same thing, and I pre-ordered the figure through them. They're gonna send me an email back so I can pay them when the figure is ready. They said it was gonna be like in September, November, or something like that. They did a pre-order.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So it
was like nothing is like, I mean, unless it's something like really, really like maybe like what Brick says, like this type of indie companies that they just make like a couple just for the con to sell at the con. But these companies nowadays, like Jada, NECA, Mesco, Hasbro, you name it, like there's no exclusive, like yes, exclusive, but just like exclusivity to have them before everybody else.
Right. Or, you know, in the past, even it wasn't often like truly exclusive. It would be like exclusive with a slightly different variation. Like, oh, it says SDCC on the back or something.
Yes.
And honestly, I was always kind of like, I don't need that. I get it if you're like wanting to keep it, collect it, sell it. And that's kind of how you do things. It's just not my way. So, you know, and then almost like if I got something that rare, I'd feel that itch to like, oh no, I can't open this, you know, and that would bum me out too, because I want to put it
right now. I wanted to open it to review it on the channel because there's just one review, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna do the review, but then I'm like, damn, should I open this?
Yeah.
Especially because I know they're gonna release a black and white version next week, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the toys, but I just want to point out what you guys both held up, man. Those are nostalgia hits. Can you imagine that? Like you're holding up Street Sharks, and you're holding up not just Ninja Turtles, which are obviously like everywhere, but you're holding up like a very specific era or moment from the history of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that's like filled with nostalgia.
The first Ninja Turtle ever like sketch.
Yeah. Sketches. Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's like I mean, obviously a lot of us say this all the time. It's like, wow, what a time to be a collector, right? On the one hand, you've got, like you just said, like you've got people who are making Dark Wolf toys, right? To the point where like they're not only making Dark Wolf, they're going to make a variant. Like it's crazy that is just sort of normal now. G.I. Joe is like an active line now, right? Like all of these things from our childhood are sort of back. And then now they're like mining
Transformers.
Now they're mining. They're going forward. Okay, that was the 80s. Okay, let's move forward. Let's do Street Sharks. Let's do, you know, whatever else is coming. I'm racking my brain here for a second, but it's it seems like there's all of that stuff. And I know we're going to get into it, but like Super 7 doing a Dungeons and Dragons like pop up where you can see a Tiamat, and like it's crazy. Or if you're like a hardcore D&D, not the cartoon, but like a gamer, you're getting a Vecna. Like you're getting more.
That figure looks incredible, dude.
Think of this like a preview. Yeah,
you can stick the book inside.
Yeah, it's wild. Or like. I consider this the preview, I guess, of what we're going to talk about. But like, Real Ghostbusters is back. You're getting 12-inch, or we're getting freaking 6-inch MOTU 2000X. Like, there's all this stuff that it's just. So it's funny in trying to cover SDCC, even like on my show this Sunday. It's like, nah, man, me and Joe, we're going to focus on a couple of things. Like, it's impossible. Oz on his channel for 24 hours, 6 a.m. Saturday till 6 a.m. Eastern Sunday. It was just like, we're going to talk SDCC. And like, they didn't cover everything, with people coming in and out. It's just so much. And I think it's just, again, really exciting to think about where toys and sort of nerddom in general is at. But then the flip side of that, I'll share just to throw this out there. Like, I've wondered about this. At what point are people going to have, I've already heard it, like, are going to have some trouble continuing to collect at the pace that they're doing because there's just so much. Yeah. Like, I've already seen people who are like, hardcore G.I. Joe people are like, I love this stuff. Yeah, give me this. And then they're like, oh, wait, a Claw's coming, the Rattler. My freaking what is it, the helicopter, is it Dragon, Wild Bill's helicopter? Yeah, the Dragonfly. Like, that's coming. Like, after a while you're kind of like, wait, how much, not just like money, but like, where do I put this stuff? That was like, so anyway, consider that the crazy, like, overall big picture preview maybe of what we're gonna get into, because it was both exciting and part of me is also like, I can see people like getting a little stressed. They're like,
"Oh yeah, definitely." I'm so happy. Listen, I'm so happy Mondo is doing the 112 Masters of the Universe, because I need to get rid of all my 1/6 Mondo Masters figures because I didn't have space. It's not because of, I don't want to say or brag that I have money, but it's not a money issue. It's a space issue, and I do not have the space on my house. I'm not the type of guy that I'm gonna put toys all over the house. My wife is gonna kill me if I do that. She built this toy room for me, not to put figures in the entire house.
Hey, let's give a shout out to some people. We got KJ Smith in the house. We got the One Fist, and hey, we got Jason from Sparrow Toys. What's up, man?
Ooh, my brother. Listen, Jason, one of the most amazing guys in the whole wide toy 100%. Community.
Oh, and look who just joined us.
Hey, Mega J.
Hey, everybody. What's going on?
What's up, Jay?
You upright? Are you con credit, or are you good? Are you healthy?
No, you know what? I think I got some con plague. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You're in a building with a whole bunch of people, so I got a bit of a cough, but I'm okay. I'm all right. How about you guys?
You look like you aged like 2 years in the last weekend.
I know, right? I know.
Right. You look drained.
Like your hair wasn't that long. Your beard wasn't that big, man.
Listen, I was chatting with him on WhatsApp, and I hear the pain through his messages. I was like, this guy is like suffering right now, dude.
Well, welcome and goodbye to California, Mega J. I hope you had a good time.
Conventions are rough. I mean, like,
yeah,
it's all that, especially a convention like San Diego, where it's just nothing but walking, and it wouldn't be so bad if the floors were carpeted. That they're all concrete, and the mistake I made. I learned a lot this year because I've been to San Diego multiple times, like at least 4 times, and every single time I'm like, all right, I got this, and every single time I end up in trouble. This time, because it was such a tight schedule, I was only there from Wednesday till Friday. And because it was such a tight schedule, like I didn't have the Saturday this time. And because it was such a tight schedule, I had to, my friend Danny and I, who came with me, we had to take our luggage with us to the convention center because our check-in time was at 3.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rough. So learned a lot. I found out after we were lugging around all this luggage, like 50 pounds of luggage each, right? After I found out afterwards that the bag check that's actually at the co-check bag check that's actually at the convention, it has in-out privileges. So you can actually go check your luggage later if you wanted throughout the day. And it's only $10 a bag. So next time, if I ever get stuck in that situation again, I'm just gonna check my bag and walk around the whole convention without a bag because I was literally like carrying 50 pounds of weight on me the whole time. And that's actually another reason why my leg just gave out on me. It was absolutely crazy. It was nuts.
No, that's insane, dude.
Yeah, that's insanity, dude.
Well, you made it back alive.
Yeah, it's awesome because you're coming back from the front lines, and then you're gonna share in the geekery with us about what was most epic there. And I think it's only suitable to ask our guests today. Let's start off with Brick. What is your number one reveal from San Diego Comic-Con?
Just
man. The one. Well, what's what I shared before, and it's weird because I feel like it hasn't. It's one of these weird things where it's sort of a Comic-Con reveal, but sort of not, and that's the Doc Nocturnal stuff. That's even just a tease at this point, but we know that Doc Nocturnal from Mezco is coming to the 112, right? And well, it's been there, but like we are getting a sense that the car from the 5 Points and maybe more is coming to the 112.
Tell me that, dude.
And I'm excited. Yeah, those pictures, like that's not the 5 Points.
Like
it's a detail.
That's gonna be like $400.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm so bummed that I missed out on the Gomez mech, and I'm like, no, I'm not missing out on this one.
Today, today a guy was selling one super cheap.
The mech?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk later.
Damian Ristori says, hello all. I am on board for RGB Mondo, but I think if we are to say get 2 sets per year, despite the price allows time to pay for each set. They will do monthly deposits. That's a good mindset. You know, you buy 2, you get 1, you sell the other one, whatever profit you make pays for the other set. So yeah, some people can do that, some people can't, but Damien has the right idea for things like that. And that's something we'll talk about more in detail, which is definitely kind of a bit of a sticker shock when they announced the price point for the real Ghostbusters 2-packs. But we'll get back to that. So
what about Rick?
Yeah. But I wanted to go back to the Doc Nock. I wanted to ask you guys, because I saw a picture of that new Doc Nock where he's like, he's on a base that looks like some sort of bullfrog kind of creature. Is that going to be a pack-in with?
That's a mascot.
Yeah, but they haven't really detailed what will be released. They've just released this one post that is in there. There's a thing behind him that looks like this cool, like his chamber.
Yeah,
he emerges from
to regenerate his powers. Yeah,
and then there's a car, and all of it looks, it's beautifully detailed, and so they haven't actually said what it's gonna be yet.
Well, was
so
it
it's
112 though? 112 scale?
Yeah, 112. But the cool thing about that set that Brig is saying is like
it wasn't 5 points, right? It wasn't 5 points.
No, if you look at the pictures, you look at the car, that is not the 5 points.
And the Amazing was posting the figure and everything. So
his posing was great.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, did they pay you?
The figure itself is based on the statue they made.
Yeah.
For Dog Nocturnal, and everybody was saying, because I had the first Dog Nocturnal, and that figure, I'm gonna be honest with you, was lame. Like, I didn't like it because it looked like a chick dressed as a skeleton.
Because of the body. Because of the body they used.
The body was too thin. They used the Robin body on that figure, and Dog Nocturnal in the comic they give us supposed to be a big dude, like muscular dude, like agile but big dude, like a male. So this body didn't work at all with the first Dog Nocturnal. I like the design, not the body they use, and most of the people agree with me on that. And when they showed this tattoo, everybody was like, "Oh my god, I wish they."
I wish that's what they made. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what they did.
That's what they did.
Yeah,
It's interesting because I'm looking for the pictures.
Oh, I can send it to you.
Toy Arc is not showing it on the wrong.
No, it's not
Go
there.
on
It was really one of these
you can go
weird.
on page.
Let me see.
I'll drop it in the chat in a second.
Yeah,
But keep it going, other folks.
I think
All right.
the images are on my Instagram too.
So, Mega J, tell us, what was your number one reveal at the con?
Come on, Jorge. Well, like seriously, when
Before you say anything, I have a video of yours.
You have a video of mine.
That I want to share because I love it, and I feel that you were embodying what I would have done if I would have been there in person at Comic-Con. So
I think I know what it
if
is.
if it is what I think it is that you're gonna say is the best thing, then I got a video on deck for that. I'll just say that.
Well, it may or may not be the same thing, but I'll be honest with you. So when two worlds collide, okay,
Yeah.
when two worlds collide, all right.
Oh boy,
it's something which is impossible, right? I mean, Deadpool, this the latest movie that just came out. It pretty much is a fan movie, right? Like every single character came into this movie for the most part, right? So for this one though, I was sitting in the MOTU panel and listening to She-Ra, listening to Blade, listening to Cam Clark, who was all these wonderful actors. And they're going through all the motions, and finally they come down to the end of the panel, and all of a sudden they're like, "Well, we don't have much left to talk about," and blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, in the background, you start hearing lightning and thunder, and you're like, "What the hell's going on?" Right? And you see all these clouds coming into it, and they say, "Oh, we have one more thing to announce," and they show the Thundercats symbol at the Mattel panel, and I lost my mind. Sorceress lost her mind. Michael lost his mind. We were all sitting together, right? Robo didn't really do too much, but we were all losing our collective minds. And I said to myself, "Oh my God, they're going to make a Master Universe Origins Thundercats crossover."
Yeah, that's
right?
pretty
cool. Just like Turtles of Grayskull. And I said, "Well, it's probably going to be based off the comics, like before, right? The MOTU Thundercats comics." Mm-hmm. So Freddie Williams the third, the second is going to be involved again. It's gonna be freaking amazing, and at the time, even at the time, I was like, it's not gonna happen. They already dropped the ball with Thundercats, with Matty Collector, right? So I was like, they're not gonna do it, and all of a sudden now they're gonna do it, and that to me was really the ground shaking moment. There are no figures to speak of, but I'm just like that one to me is like, holy shit.
Yeah,
that was a good tease.
Yeah, that was a good tease.
That was great. Right, but a close second definitely has to be the Thundercats. And I had to sneak in. I don't know if you guys noticed, like in my video, I had to actually sneak in to actually get to that video because they were closed. Actually, I don't know. Like if you watch my video from the other day, the Mondo booth had actually closed for the day, and I actually had to pull a favor to actually get inside to actually see the Thundercats Lion. And even then, I was losing my mind. Like I was like, "This thing's incredible! I've never seen anything like this. It's so, a new take on the Thundercats. It was just beautiful. I can't wait.
That's the video I have to share.
No, yeah, but
I gotta share this. Here we go.
Yeah, that thing is beautiful.
Holy crap!
It's just incredible. I mean. The size, the scope, the sculpt. And you know what, Jorge? They beat Super 7 to the punch. I mean, King Lion-O. Like never been done before, right? There are a lot of people, a lot of comments on Snarf, but we can get to that later. But yeah, just
so Jay, your number one is the MOTU Thundercats collaboration, correct?
Okay, so For things that were like teased, yes, that's the, like absolutely.
We're talking about like your number one whatever news or number one highlight of the con.
Yeah, definitely.
That's amazing. What do you think? Do you think it's gonna be type of like Origins, what they did with Thundercats, and I mean with MOTU and Ninja Turtles?
It was Mondo. Yeah, no, Origins has been so successful for them.
Yeah.
I cannot see them doing Masterverse scale. I can't, not right now. I think that they have a better chance with Origins. And I think that's definitely the way they're going to go, especially since there's so many other competitors out there, right? Like Super 7 is doing 6-inch, right? Now, these guys are doing 1/6, right? So it
would be Thundercats in a different scale that it would work.
And Origins. I think if I'm not wrong, Loyal Subjects did something like that, right? Like Thundercats.
It was Loyal Subjects did the little blind box minifigures. That they're like stubby, they're like 2-inch tall.
They didn't do like type of like MOTU style figures.
Believe it or not, so Carlos, believe it or not, it was Funko. Funko did.
I thought it was Loyal Subjects.
No,
it was
Funko. Yeah,
Funko did Savage. I think it was Savage Lands or something like that. They
did correct.
5. Yeah, they did 5.5 Barbarian style figures, and Thundercats was one of them. So it's going to be interesting seeing how these ones actually work. But there was very little articulation. It was very much original MOTU style. So it was. And
I remember. I got 2 of the waves for my brother Ken Coleman, in Sweden. I sent those to him because he wanted it for his son, right? And it was impossible to find them there in Europe. So, and out of the blue, Ken told me, like, listen, dude, the articulation on this thing is crap. Like, the pegs on the legs were breaking all the time because they were using the white type of material for the pegs, that white plastic that is really brittle, and they were breaking.
That's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate because it was a good idea. You know what I mean? At the time, it was a great idea. But
do you have them?
No. They just there was something about them that didn't do it for me.
I didn't like them.
Yeah, that's crazy. You don't have them.
No,
I didn't like them. I thought they were ugly.
Their faces were weird. I don't like the squat. Like the squat is a He-Man thing. You know what I mean? Thundercats don't squat, man.
Yeah, well, they're gonna squat now.
They are gonna squat. Yeah. But they're gonna. At least you can stand them up, you know.
But I think they managed. Like, I love the articulation on the Origins figures. I mean, I really like what they did because you can squat them. They're gonna look good in squat, but they also look good kind of like standing.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think that this one's gonna be a lot better. And no matter what, like Thundercats and Master Universe always had a very unique position. You know, they were like barbarian type of creatures. You know what I mean? They're in the wilds. You know, in magical lands. So, if you like Thundercats, you kind of like He-Man. If you like He-Man, you kind of like Thundercats. It's a very good crossover idea. And the comics have come out. So many great opportunities. So yeah, I lost my mind. I lost my mind there.
I was like, as you're saying that, I was like doing this, but I realized, like, man, I've been prepped for this idea of crossing these for such a long time. This is one of my favorite. I want to go grab it real quick. Like, these two were made to hang out with each other. Like, you just look at the art. Like, even when we were kids, I was like, yeah, we need to see. I need to see this. So I'm excited for that in that Origins sort of form.
I already got my creative juices going, and I busted out the iPad today.
Nice.
Started concepting a He-Man / Lion-O in Origin stuff. And it's tricky because it's like, do I do 50-50 or do I do more, more faithful to Lion-O? For example, as far as the skin, do I give him human flesh? Do I conserve the orange? What kind of hairstyle am I going to do? I gave him a harness. So far what I decided is the harness will hold the cat's emblem on the chest.
Sure.
So he has a harness, recolored the harness, but it's fun. I'm hoping to have it done in a couple of days, but I got to thinking about Mumra Skeletor, and it's like you said, Brick, it's like meant to happen. Like you have a corpse, but this time it's a skeleton in purple robes instead of red. And then when he turns ever living, he has the bone harness with the Mumra logo and still has the bandages, but then he's rocking some sort of crown, but then he has a skeleton face, you know? So it's like the potential for such badass action figures is really there. And I'm just curious as to, you know, whoever's designing these, how they're going to go about, like what kind of formula they're following, you know, what's going to be more heavy. Is it going to be the Thundercats, you know, design and aesthetic, or is it going to be leaning more on the MOTU aesthetic? You know, if it's 50-50 meshed, that's great, but you know, it's kind of tricky because you have like, you got the cat eyes, the you know, the lines coming down from the bottom of the eyes, the mascara type of look. So does that lend itself to a He-Man kind of character? And you know, I'll show you guys what I'm coming up with later on, but I'm excited about the potential, man.
I am too. I think it's really great. You know, obviously with what I've deemed Motet Manut, Masters of the Universe and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is like they have that mechanism, that story device of like the mutagen and, you know, mutating. So that isn't, you know, necessarily there for like, you know, Thundercats and He-Man. So they're going to sort out some kind of storytelling device. I would love it if they didn't do too much of the sort of like mashing up of characters. But, you know, I know they can't just do straight up like, I can't see a world where they just do straight up, here's a Lion-O, but in Origins form, like for all sorts of licensing reasons. But like, you know, I really hope they stay away personally from like, here's Lion-O, but with He-Man's armor, but like, just give us something like cool. Like what would these two look like if they were to merge, you know? What would it look like if the folks from Eternia had more like cat-like weapons or, I don't know, armor? And, you know, some of the stuff from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what is it? Turtles of Grayskull was like more mashup-y. But then, you know, some of the stuff was just like pretty creative. Like Beastman wasn't really necessarily like they did some cool concept stuff that I'm hoping they do a little bit more of, less of a mashup of characters and more of a just thinking about like, yeah, what if Thundercats and MOTU could interact with each other? And you, as Jay already pointed out, it's been done in the comics. So they weren't, you know, changing clothes and like, here, wear my shirt, wear my armor. So I don't know. We'll see. Either way, it's really cool.
I'm wondering though.
The people that jumped on, we got Nolan Collects, Articulated Times. What's up, Steven?
What's up?
Cute Cult, King Collector is in the house. He says you can easily custom make that Lion-O from the Super 7 one. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mashup potential in the sense of like, you know, action figures and stuff where we can literally like pop on heads and put them on different figures and stuff like that and come up with our own iterations. Like what Brick was saying, I mean, it's all going to depend on the narrative, you know, like, was it a spell that was cast where, you know, they just kind of crossed worlds? Maybe He-Man ends up in Thundera, in Third Earth, and Lion-O ends up in Eternia. I don't know, you know, once we see the storyline and what Mega J was saying, it's awesome. Is it confirmed that it's going to be Freddie Williams? Because, dude, I thought about that, and I love his art, and he did the Thundercats He-Man crossover comic, and I love that. So I think it would be a match made in heaven for him to do, you know, the mini comics that come with the figures. Was that something they confirmed at the panel?
No, there was no confirmations. It was literally just a tease, like a straight up tease. They showed the logo, they showed the lightning and thunder. They didn't even say if it was Origins or not. Yeah. Right? They didn't say anything like that. But it just stands to reason that it's going to be a crossover. It's going to be Origins. I'm of the opinion that what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to make new armor sets and new vehicles and new expansions. I think they're going to probably release traditional Lino, traditional Panther, traditional Thundercats. But I fully expect, just like what they're doing with the Masters Universe Turtles Grayskull, that they will have new costumes for everybody. Like right now we have Stealth Ninja He-Man. You know what I mean? We have mutated He-Man. We have, as Brick just showed, we have Samurai Beastman. I think that probably what's going to happen is they're probably going to don themselves with Eternian armor, or maybe He-Man will don himself with Thunderian armor. You know what I mean? There's going to be a collaboration between the two factions, right? For a greater good. I think that's probably what's going to happen. I really do hope that Freddie Williams is involved. I think that his artwork and his direction and everything they did with the story was excellent. So I really hope that comes to pass. I think that there's a lot of leeway with that. But a new story would be great too.
Clint Jorgensen says, "Heard it here first. Snarf X Orko mashup." Just kidding.
They'll provide all sorts of life lessons and get into all sorts of hilarious.
Monkey and Beastman.
Oh, dude, that's yeah. No, you know which one I was thinking about? Because when I was thinking about the whole Skeletor Mumra, right, was like, okay, instead of having a Panther, what if Mama is a giant dog that's actually
rideable?
Skeletor Mumra's, mount. So imagine that giant blue dog, kind of like kind of like Lockjaw, right? Like a giant blue dog with wings and shit, and he's Skeletor Mumra's mount.
Or Snarf can be He-Man's right.
Oh man, like a Cringer who gets like a battle cat form.
Oh
finally,
well, actually, if you read the books,
comic,
right? If you read the comic, the Cringer turns into something else. But we'll.
I was about to mention I saved it too, but
I know we'll leave that for everybody to discover. That
so
was
Nolan
crazy.
Collects is saying, what was everyone's favorite SDCC reveal? So far, Nolan, we've got Brig and we've got Mega J. But
Brig said it's gonna be Doc Turner from Mezco, the new one that is coming, and Jay said is the Motu and Thundercats crossover.
All right, so Carlos, what was your number one?
Mine is easy. Well, for like people who knows me since I was back in the days in Motu Nation, I was admin there in Motu Nation. I mean, I'm a huge Masters of the Universe 2000X fan. That to me, even my favorite, I will say, story for He-Man is the mini comics, because I'm from the 70s, and I wasn't that much, believe it or not, into the Filmation cartoon, because to me it was a shock to come from to me it was a shock to come from the mini comics and then see the transition to the Filmation, where everybody was looking so goofy and so dumb, right? Like the enemies, especially the evil warriors. And so most of the characters in the mini comics were kicking He-Man's ass, right? So having that transition, it didn't went well with me. I swallow it and I enjoy the whole cartoon and everything. But when 2000X came, that was to me like the story, the animation, like that kind of like Japanese animation style fighting, combined with the actual artwork, the story and everything, the design of the toys by Four Horsemen and everything, to me was like the most amazing thing ever. And that's my favorite He-Man cartoon. So Mondo revealed a 112 He-Man 2000X. That to me is like, I'm gonna be honest with you, and maybe 10, 12 years, like I never received such an amazing news action figure wise till now.
Right on.
That was to me the highlight of the SDCC.
No, absolutely. I
It's a good one.
I think that was very unexpected and very amazing at the same time. I think there's a lot of potential there. Oh, and a lot of cheddar for sure.
No,
The
but
good
they said,
thing,
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I need to say it because Geek That Life, Jay said that he was talking to Hector
Peter?
and
Peter.
Peter at the Mondo booth, and they were talking about the price on the Ghostbusters 2-pack or whatever, right? And they were saying, yeah, we know it's a little expensive, whatever, but I think they asked something about the He-Man figures, and they said the He-Man figures are not going to be that expensive. So I'm guessing they're going to be like in between the, I don't know, like maybe like $80-$90. I mean, it's going to be kind of like a mini Mondo 1/6 in 1/12. That's as far as I know.
I think what we're going to see with that SKU is going to be more along the lines of if Mezco 112
Mezco
was making Master of the Universe.
So I will be more than happy. Listen, I know it's expensive. Mezco is expensive. Not everybody collects Mezco, but I will be happy if they make that figure like a Mezco figure with the soft goods and the articulation with all the details they put on the 1/6 figures on that little He-Man. I will be more than happy to pay $100 for that figure with all the accessories, all the interchangeable heads. I mean, dude, he comes with the King Grayskull head. He comes with the plates to change the Iron Cross for the little star in the chest and on the belt. That's insane.
And the crazy thing is that Emiliano did that art back in 2006.
That's insane.
So that thing has been sitting on ice for such a long time.
Well, finally.
Damien Ristori says a 2000X Mondo Count Marzo would be, that would be awesome. I would love
Count Marzo was my favorite villain in the 2000X cartoon.
He looks so cool. And the way the Horseman did him in MOTU Classics, man.
He went toe-to-toe with He-Man fighting. I remember when they were attacking with the two giants, Skeletor and all these guys. Oh, that was an amazing chapter, dude. I love it.
I think there's a lot of potential for that line. Absolutely. I'm wondering, because it's scaled down and with what we're seeing with Ghostbusters, real Ghostbusters, I'm wondering if we're going to get like a 112 Battle Cat, a 112 Panther, all that kind of stuff. So it's what has got me a little bit curious and nervous at the same time is the articulation.
Yeah.
I say this because looking at, for example, the Ghostbusters animated, they're using very, I don't want to use the word dated, but they're using single joints on a lot of things where it makes sense in a way because it's an animated cartoon figure. You don't really tend to look at these type of figures as like they're going to be like a Mayfix, super articulated, posable. One thing that I noticed though, I was watching Geek That Life's live video, and what they did was they removed the glass case for him, and he was actually going in depth with the Ghostbusters figures. And if you look when he turns around, the Ghostbusters have butterfly joints on the shoulders. So while you have single joints at the knees because of the padded pants and stuff like that, there is extra articulation that we don't see, for example, on a Super 7 figure nowadays. So they're plussing up the articulation where I guess it counts, where it means the most. So we're not getting exactly like we would say like dated Super 7 type of articulation. We're going to get some new engineering to give us more range of motion on those figures, and that's exciting. But again, going back to MOTU 2000X, those are figures that fans
need articulation.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, the guys at Mondo they understand like every brand is different, every IP is different, and so they're gonna try and think about like what do the characters need. You just said it. Like if you're talking Ghostbusters, they've got like these big old coveralls. Like they're not gonna do splits in those or knees, but like they may need that to be able to hold their proton pack. So it's like, okay, so MOTU's MOTU, right? They know. And I'm assuming that they'll really think about the action needed and, hoping. We'll see. Yeah. Either way, it'll be way more articulated than those original 2000X figures. So,
no, absolutely. Like Carlos is showing, if Hasbro's doing this on a $50 figure,
McFarlane, like, double join.
I'm sure Mondo watches all these videos and they take notes and they know what the fans want. So I'm sure they're not going to disappoint. So let's get around to me. As far as the best reveal at Comic-Con, obviously I'm partial to Thundercats, as everybody knows. Seeing Lionel for the very first time with all his accessories except the cape, that was the only thing that was not on display. It is freaking amazing. And
that's your number one?
No, because that's not a reveal. That was more like, okay, we know it's coming, but we've only seen renders and stuff like that. My number one reveal, which I'm not seeing a lot of people geeking out about it, but I am, is the Jada Toys Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo is like, come on, how many of us, Brick, Mega J, Carlos, we all grew up in that era. We all grew up watching Scooby-Doo. So just the fact that not only are we going to get super articulated Scooby-Doo action figures, but I was watching the interview with Veebs, and he really got into the nitty-gritty, and they're going to have some awesome accessories. For example, all the monsters are going to come with their unmasked heads showing the culprits that dress up as the monsters, and removable droopy masks that the gang can hold when they unmask.
Yeah, that's insane.
The mummy has like butterfly joints, has all this crazy articulation. He's going to have like bandages hanging from his arms and different parts of his body. And he's going to have think like a bendy bandage that you could wrap around the face of the criminal that's dressed as the mummy. I can't wait to see these. They're going to be released as 3, and it's going to be two monsters and one Scooby Gang member per wave.
So, okay, pretty much what they're doing with the Street Fighter figures or the Mega Man figures, which is amazing.
Right. So what we saw at Comic-Con was basically wave 1, and man, I'm so down for these figures, and I'm just gonna pull them up here real quick. So here is
that's a good one.
Yeah, this is hold on, let me get
Jorge almost died with that. He called me like at 3 a.m. He couldn't sleep.
No, man, it's just awesome because, and I'll tell you why it's awesome, not just because of Scooby-Doo.
No.
Okay. It's because of the umbrella.
Yeah, the Hannah-Barbera of it all.
We have not seen anything from the HB camp in years.
Yep.
So the potential for world building here, let's not even get started. I mean, Blue Falcon, Thundar the Barbarian. I mean, dude,
Herculoids.
Exciting. Herculoids. I mean, there is
Thor.
Dude,
oftentimes people will lump in Thundar in there, but Thundar was Ruby Spears. Sorry to be the actually, but
Thundar
for sure.
Yeah,
but still, sorry, I totally actually that. But no, Hanna-Barbera, you're right. Like everything you just said, all the Alex Toth, all those beautiful designs that he worked on, Herculoids, Johnny Quest, give them all to me, man.
Dude, Johnny,
I think he designed also Mythor, right?
Yep, Mytor. Oh man, like that's one of those. Like, I want to put Mytor next to He-Man, and Conan.
I'm thinking about, for example,
Shazam.
Remember the Laugh Olympics?
Yep.
Like with Grape Ape, Magilla Gorilla, freaking Dick Dastardly, and
Captain Caveman.
Yep. dude, it's just that is amazing. And
Yep.
so I'm super, and it's funny because like Carlos is super stoked about a whole other toy line, which is Street Fighter. And yeah, that's a great toy line. They got some awesome stuff coming out. But man, for me, Scooby-Doo, that's it. Game over. I'm
gonna get the Scooby-Doo. Don't make me run. But the thing is, like, I love martial arts, and
oh sure.
And I mean, I love like playing the game, like Street Fighter game. Also, Mega Man, dude. To me, Mega Man is the one who hit me the most.
I mean, look at this ghoul, right? Look at the
Wow.
articulation on it, bro.
Double
like,
joint everywhere.
If you notice, he has a button clasp, so he can have the suit closed, or you can open it up when you want to have
it's like
that,
a softer overlay.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You know, to have this in an animated line, and you know, it's funny because yeah, I mean, it's funny because you see, like, for example, Mezco did the 5-point Scooby-Doo with the haunted house and everything, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but the one thing that it doesn't offer is the articulation, you know. But look at this mummy, and the great thing, the mummy lends itself to hide the articulation because of the way it sculpted the bandages.
Yeah, they did it amazing.
Man, I was looking through a roster of different monsters, like, my God, like the witch doctor, you know, Redbeard. Oh my God, there's so many amazing iconic monsters that I can't wait to see Jada tackle. But yeah, man, as far as Street Fighter, they're kicking ass.
Now that we're there, now that we're in Jada.
Yeah. So this was the big elephant in the room, right? Right. Akuma reveal. And this is something that obviously, you know, every Street Fighter fan wants an Akuma. And
a whole new body.
This one, here we go.
A whole new body for him. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It looks incredible.
That's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, no, Jada's killing it, man. And what I appreciate about them is ever since it started, you know, other people have made attempts at doing Street Fighter 2 specifically, but they never were able to like give us everybody that you could drop a quarter in and play. And like from the beginning, shout out to the Toy Migos for all their coverage on the Street Fighter stuff and hanging out with Jada and June. But like from the beginning, June was real clear. Like he heard that and he's like, yeah, my goal is to give you everybody that's in the game. And, you know, like some of these figures that we saw are not ones that are going to be coming out real soon. It's going to take a while. But he was saying when he was, you know, doing his interview with them, just like, yeah, but, you know, we've kind of got the designs and it just made sense to reveal it all here and let people know, yeah, we're going there. Like,
man, the
invest
Honda,
in Street Fighter. It's all going to be there.
Figure?
Oh. But what it really boils down to is the affordability. I mean, you know, like Storm put themselves way out there. You know, each figure is like $120, $130. It was
you're correct.
Crazy, and they were so out of scale with everything else. Right?
But also, it's just you mentioned Storm. You're right. The price is there, but it's also like no guarantee that you're going to get everyone. Almost like the opposite. You're almost. No offense to Storm, I love them, but you're almost guaranteed that you're not going to finish the line, or you're going to be so old that you're kind of forget about finishing it because they're not very good at finishing out lines, and they're a while.
All over the place. Like, look what they did with Mortal Kombat.
They
all of this jumped from Mortal Kombat 1 to Mortal Kombat 2 to Mortal Kombat 8, and now they kind of like lost the line. I think that the rights to make them, I think they also like clear them from their site. They're not selling them anymore. So
don't get me started with Storm Collectibles. They announced one of my absolute favorite video game arcade lines, and all they've done is one figure, which was Darkstalkers. They did Dimitri, and they took 2.5 years to finally reveal Morrigan, and she's going to be a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive. So I'm not even holding my breath for Lord Raptor and the Frankenstein monster and all those other characters, because it seems like they're doing one a year or something like that.
The only figure I'm excited from them that they announced in I think it was an account in Japan, was the Agent Cobra figure.
Yeah, that's a hot one.
Because it's one.
Yeah,
it's one. I don't need anybody else. I just need him, and that's it. So that one is one that I was expecting since forever. So to make it done, but yeah, that's one of the ones from Storm Collectibles. That's it. Period.
I'm gambling that they're going to finish Gotcha Man, but we'll see.
The One Fist, unless you love Golden Axe, that's true. They've gone deep with Golden Axe, and that's really cool. That's good that they've had that continuity, and they've done very niche character background character stuff.
But to get back to come back to Jada, go for it, Carlos.
What about the Mega Man figures, dude? The Mega Man, they are on fire, dude.
They're great, and again, it's at a price point. It's at a price point that I think Mega Man needs to be, and Street Fighter. Like, I really want those to be accessible to younger people. Mega Man's still, like, in active development. So is Street Fighter. So yeah, I'm hoping, and they're video game properties. I'm hoping that they'll bring more people to action figures.
Yeah, they're so fun to play with. The Mega Man figures, man, you can put them with anything in your collection. It doesn't matter. Like, they match with everything, and the articulation. They come with two heads. They come with different set of hands, effects, stands. For $24. Come on, dude. Yeah. No.
Come on, Jay. What do you think of that, Mega Man? You familiar with Mega Man?
Obviously, I love the Mega Man. Like, there's no denying that. And again, they're all these things are just affordable. That's the real thing about it. In an age where smaller companies aren't able to go anywhere, like Super 7 has decided that they're going to stay in the boutique market, right? Which in and of itself is good and bad, I suppose. But if they were to spread their wings and actually go into the retail sector, I think they could do amazing stuff, right? But would that lower their quality any? It's hard to say, right? Because Thundercats, as Jorge and I and Carlos and all of us, we realize that it's a hit and miss with their facial sculpts a lot of times. But for the most part, they're the only ones doing it, and that in and of itself is incredible that they're dedicated to finishing the line. So I'm excited. The Silverhawks, unfortunately, hasn't. It's up and down right now, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm super excited for Mega Man, 100%, and of course, Street Fighter, all those guys. Like, I talked to Mike of their marketing department, and he was great. He couldn't really say anything, but they got a lot of things planned for the future. That's what everyone's saying.
Really? Which line from them is the one that you like the most?
It's hard to say. I mean, like, their General Mills line, which is no longer General Mills. Now they have Kellogg's. They have I guess we'll call them their cereal line.
The mascots.
Yeah,
the mascots.
They look really cool. I mean, who would have thought?
Tony the Tiger. Dude.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Great.
Who would have thought that would have hit a chord with all of us? You know what I mean? Like, who would have thought that would have been a thing? Boo Berry, Count Chocula, all these guys, right? Frankenberry, right? Who would have thought that would have hit a chord and really become successful? Chester Cheetah. I think Chester Cheetah is going through the roof right now. People love Chester Cheetah, right?
They have an exclusive, right, for the con, right?
They did the
Flaming Hot, was it?
It's Flaming Hot.
No, that was that was the previous con. I forget what it was this time. If anything,
they did the Flaming Hot. The Flaming Hot for
was it for this con?
Okay, that's the exclusive for the con.
Brick, you got a link that has good pictures for. I think Pixel Dan had some good pictures for the Tiamat.
I think Jay had some.
Jay has good pictures for the Tiamat
on his IG.
Yeah, he shared pictures.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Let me do that.
Yeah, he shared pictures with me.
I wanted to talk about the Tiamat. I want to see what everybody's feeling around in the room in terms of that price point.
While you're bringing that up, just as far as the food mascots, again, it's like there is this, the nostalgia. It's a fickle thing, and so being able to, I think Jada's June and the action figure sort of section in particular, super smart in terms of the way they kind of like reveal themselves. First, it was sort of the Universal monsters, and like, which is great, but it's a small license. It's not like, other than NECA, it's not like something that a lot of people were doing, right? So they could kind of like explore the medium of action figures with that. Then Street Fighter, yes, stuff was there, but people are hungry, but it's also not like a hugely like, it's not a huge license. Truthfully, it's not, compared to some of the other things they can go after. Then you do like, even with the food mascots, I think their selection and their decision making around stuff, and Mega Man, like, I think it's super smart, a great way to kind of like show what you can do. You know, we totally skipped over freaking Cyberpunk Edge Runners too, because that stuff is exciting. And if you look at all of those together, it shows like everyone's talking about like, oh my God, where did Jada come with, like, seemingly out of nowhere, able to like create these great figures. Not only that, but they're able to like deal with a diversity of character types and shapes and all this stuff, and still show like, hey, we can make good toys. So shout out to Jada. For sure, they need like all the attention as far as like the retail figure space goes. They're, for my money, they're like,
so far they're my number one. They're my number one toy company for 2024. Yeah, to me.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about Jada, and you guys are gonna laugh.
The retail space.
I used to think, well, Jada got started doing diecast vehicles. I remember I was with Figures.com when they were still, you know, when they were just getting started, and they sent me some samples. I think it was like they were doing cars, and it was like diecast metal cars from the animated cartoon. So when those Universal monsters came out and people started talking about them, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about diecast action figures. I thought they were diecast. I didn't know that they were vinyl or plastic. So, you know, I wonder when or why they took that jump from diecast to plastic. Like,
the funny thing about that too, if you want to actually go back to the history of it, Scott Knightlick actually is the one who created their Nanofigs line, and their Nanofigs line was actually made from diecast.
Yes,
and that's actually where they got the idea. Well, we can license action figures in diecast mode. Why can't we license action figures in plastic? Right now, Scott didn't last very long at Jada. But his expertise helped to move them forward, and now they're. It took a while, but I think the serial license was really their first. Well, actually, I think you're right, Jorge. I think it was the Universal Monsters first, but then after that they got into the serials, and then after that they got the Capcom license, and that's pretty much where everything started like exploding, right?
Now that you're talking about the Capcom license, I'm wondering if they can tackle Marvel on the Capcom banner. What
you're asking? Possible? You're saying, is it possible for?
Yeah, I'm asking.
You're talking about Marvel already, with Capcom.
Yeah, June has already like laid out that no, like it's not a blanket like anything related to
Capcom.
Street Fighter or Capcom necessarily. Like the Capcom stuff, they definitely have obviously like a relationship and a track record to be able to leverage and like say, hey, can we do other Capcom properties? But anytime you have somebody else holding the license, of course, you got to work out something with those other rights holders as well. Even though it was featured in a Capcom game, that was also a collaborative, venture between Marvel and.
Because I was dreaming. I was like, dude, my favorite Thanos figure is the one from the Capcom game.
I don't know who said this. Oh, I know what it was. It was shout out to A Toy Kind of Mood, who it was interviewing the Hasbro, the G.I. Joe, or was it Marvel Legends? One of those teams. And so there was kind of a question around that, like, is it possible for it to be done? And I might be mixing up because there's so much coverage. He might have even been with June. But basically the notion of like, hey, no, we can't just do that based on the license we have. But how cool would it be if, like, both teams are involved and they scale reasonably well with one another, Street Fighter and Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
They just sort of like, well, if the Hasbro team just keeps developing, characters that look like from that era, like they have with like the Iron Man with a big old gun and other stuff, and then we can just kind of create our stuff and people can just have fun with it, sort of an unofficial collaboration, if you will.
Well,
That'd be
going ahead, they revealed the brown suit Wolverine that is from the game, also, and the Sentinels that are also from the game.
Was it from the Capcom? But wasn't it from the X-Men game? It does. I mean, not that it matters, but
no,
but yeah.
X-Men game,
right?
Yeah.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's like you've got the stuff there. They can just kind of like give us the right colors. And then,
when I saw that Wolverine, the first thing that snapped in my head was Secret Wars, the toy line.
Yeah,
because that's pretty much spot on the colors of the Wolverine figure from the Secret Wars line, and
that whole era.
Makes sense, the fact that they've already announced Secret Wars is a thing. That's where the MCU is headed with their track, as far as cinematic plans. So what you guys are talking about, Marvel versus Capcom, I think it could be easily done because, as Brick was saying, Jada just keeps dishing out the Street Fighters, right? All we need is for Marvel to get on board, for Hasbro to get on board and do Capcom-esque sculpts of their characters and do like an MVS,
color or colorways.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, but for example, with Wolverine, like the flaps on his helmet are like very exaggerated in the game. So if they could actually get away somehow with doing that MVS style, oh my God, people, and it's a no-brainer. I mean, you're doing basically like a new head, maybe, very minimal new tooling, new packaging art, and people are just going to rebuy the same body, but now it has a Marvel versus Capcom style head.
Yeah, Thanos just like changed the yellow for orange and give him a different head with the actual horns here like a little bit bigger, and pretty much you're done.
Yeah, it's just like a new head and a recolor, But yeah, I wanted to talk about this Tiamat. I want to talk about the giant five-headed dragon in the room, right? This thing is beautiful.
6 or 5.
5. It was awesome when it was revealed, but right off the bat, I was already questioning, like, what kind of range of movement does this thing have? And, now finally, for people that went to the pop-up at Comic-Con, they got pictures like Mega J. Thank you for running out there. I know not everybody made it out there. This thing is beautiful.
It's a long trek. It's pretty far.
How far was it of a walk?
How far is from the con?
It's about 6 or 7 blocks. It's not a short distance. It's quite a trek.
Yeah, if you're carrying like bags and stuff, it's a pain in the ass, But the thing with this is it's beautiful. It's beautiful to look at, but it's basically like a limited articulation plastic statue.
Vinyl.
And the fact that it's branded under the Ultimates line, it's just kind of like, really? I mean, couldn't they have just done this as its own thing and sold it as like one of their super jumbo whatever vinyl figures and not call it Ultimates? Because it's just not Ultimates. It's not articulate. It has maybe like 12 points of articulation. It's a Motocast figure,
right?
In essence, and there's not much you can do with it. Like maybe stand it on its hind legs, move its tail around in different positions, but that's kind of about it,
Well, like as far as the question on should it be an Ultimates or not, I'll just say that what they're doing from a branding perspective is like these are meant to go with those other D&D figures you're going, and you're kind of like keeping it together, right? I think that's where it's at. And I get it. Maybe for some of us like collectors, we're thinking Ultimates means a crap ton of weird obscure plastic inside of packed in with a figure that I have. Like it means like and the articulation and all that, versus like, oh, vinyl doesn't quite fit in that. But I think from their perspective, like they're reaching, yes, for those kinds of people to buy D&D figures. I think they're also banking on the fact that like Dungeons and Dragons as a whole, and then Dungeons and Dragons the cartoon, hasn't really been done really well. No offense, Hasbro. And so they're just getting fans who are just like, I'm in it for the Dungeons and Dragons. Oh crap, you're giving me this thing. And I think it might be confusing to be like, oh, but this is not, like I think they're just trying to say like it's all sort of a together unit. Just like, I mean, I know y'all do Legions. It's like the Trolls, right? Let's be real. Those Trolls don't move in the same way, and the Rotocast too, in the same way that the rest of the Legions figure does. But they're just as Legions as anything else in the Mythic Legions line.
Well, so the Trolls have more like a ball socket type of.
They do. No,
this is all pure swivel,
right? Sure, but I mean, they're not. You can't pop and swap in the same way. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I think it's more so that they're trying to pitch it like, hey, these work with these figures. Don't worry about it. Because I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people buying Dungeons and Dragons that might be their first encounter with Super 7 and all. They don't know about the other Rotocast vinyl Super 7 stuff.
Yeah, but there's also something to be said about what is Tiamat supposed to do? I mean, Tiamat is a freaking, 5-headed dragon. You know what I mean? I had the same fears as Jorge when we first talked. I mean, Jorge and I talked about it at length, right? As a matter of fact, we thought that there was no articulation originally, and then Jorge found out that there is going to be some articulation. Now, here's the reality. Tiamat is pretty much a god in, an equivalent of a minor god in D&D lore. I mean, she's a shapeshifter. She has so many different powers. But the reality is, she doesn't really engage. She doesn't grab anybody. She doesn't attack with her limbs. She attacks with all of her magical powers. The most notable thing about her is that she can stand on her hind legs and walk, right? And to a certain degree, she can do that, right? Jorge, if you go to super7.com, you can actually see the one shot, because they didn't show it here at the display, obviously. But if you actually go to super7.com and you go to the actual backing page, you'll see that she does actually stand. If you articulate her tail in a certain way, she can stand on her hind legs. She can actually do it. And that, I think, is what they were thinking. I think that most people are not going to change her stance. She's gigantic.
Right.
It doesn't even begin to show you how big she actually is there. She's absolutely monstrous.
And I'm not at all trying to take this away from Super 7 in the way that, I know we've been talking about it. But as you've already pointed out, a lot of their articulation is out of date anyway. So they're not.
No, you have to go to super7.com, Jorge.
It's not
their actual website, not their.
Yeah, the actual website.
Yeah, the pre-order page. It's not as if like, oh no, were we really expecting like a highly articulated neck from that company in particular? Like that's not really, they don't do that for their existing Ultimates line. So I wasn't surprised, and I actually think it's kind of a smart way of trying to get this character done to work with those figures. But the price point's a thing.
That's my question. My question is not how much articulation it has.
And that's what I was getting at, because here's the thing.
Price.
Right? It's okay, so we know it has some articulation. It's branded under the Ultimates banner, and we've already discussed, the fact that, I mean, if this thing was really, really Ultimates, this thing would be from $500 to $600, and it would have to be a crowdfunded, and all that other stuff. But here's where they missed it, because one thing that Ultimates is known for is alternate heads, effects, this and that. They could have at least given her different removable blasts, like a fire blast, an ice blast.
Yeah.
Which would have plussed up, and it would have just made the purchase so much more, like, for people to just ease that wallet so much more into like that $300 range. Because honestly, I've been looking at pictures like from the ones that Jay took and other photographers, and it's really not that big in the sense of, when you have a figure standing next to it, it's not like the massive size that you would expect a 5-headed dragon to have, I think this is something more along the lines of $200. But having said that, and Brian wanted to make it clear, this is technically a $250 piece, and it's $300 shipped. So they're putting into like making it a package deal where the $50 is basically covering the shipping. So technically you're paying $250 for the product, but that makes me wonder, if I were to walk up to the Super 7 store in San Diego and say, hey, I want a Tiamat, are they going to charge me $250 plus tax? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then if you buy it from another retailer like Entertainment Earth, obviously they do free shipping for the 75 plus.
Yeah, hold on though. But I don't see free shipping on there. I see estimated shipping. Is that actually?
According to Brian Flynn, and he said it on video, it's $250. I mean, $300 shipped. So I guess
is that United States? Can you go on the page? Is that United States only? Because here in Canada it says estimated shipping. So
it says estimated shipping too on the first page, but I'm gonna go ahead and.
It's probably just for the US though. Let me pull up the Tiamat here. Hold on.
Yeah, it says the same thing that Jay is describing here in the US.
All right,
but I'm gonna sort of see. What's you are 85 away from free domestic shipping? So I have to be like,
that mean? That would be awesome.
No, yeah, not for that one. I'm just curious because it's a $300 item, man. Like, how far do I have to go before?
All right, so here is the Tiamat, and let's look for that picture.
Just on, keep looking at those gentlemen. But here's the other thing I have to say. As much as I love the Thunder Tank doesn't actually do much. You know what I mean? Its arms lift up, its jaw lifts up. You can open the back, you can lift up the telescoping turret, but that's about it. I mean,
right.
It doesn't actually do much more than what Tiamat does. When you really, if you're okay, well, obviously Tiamat does even less. But what I'm trying to say is that, there is something to say about, who's going to buy this thing, because I bought, both Jorge and I bought the Thunder Tank. We knew we had to buy it. And who knew if we waited a year, it would drop in like half the price. You know what I mean? That's not that is again, we just don't know, right? Who's to say that this won't drop in price? If we wait long enough. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things to be said about that. If you want to go back to that one shot, Jorge, where she's standing up on her hind legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's killer. It's up there.
Here she looks amazing.
No,
it
looks awesome. It looks awesome visually. It's beautiful. It's a display piece, right? What you're saying about the Thunder Tank, absolutely you're right. But the difference is the Thunder Tank is a vehicle. It's just made to house figures. It's not meant to really do much, and it does have, the glow in the dark eyes effect and the jaw that opens and the rising paws with the extendable cannons, which is like way more than what this Tiamat does. But I just feel like, I don't know, it's just, I think for what you're getting, $300, I'm still on the fence, man. I really wanted it.
I think you really got to look at this as a statue. And I think if everyone looks at this as a statue, I think the perspective changes, because most statues are $300 and
Right.
they don't do anything. And they don't do anything.
Right.
You know,
I mean, if we're really trying to sit here and justify the price, I kind of tend to just bow out of those conversations, because at the end of the day, there's so much going on in these businesses that most fans just don't know. And we can sit here and be frustrated by the prices, but to me, if I look at everything else that they're doing, as Jay's pointing out, you could look at statues, but you don't have to look that hard. Look at how much the vinyl Charlie Brown is, which is literally a big circle head or whatever. That's $300. Look at the Reptar, which is very similar. That's sort of where they have priced things. I know there's all sorts of people with their, tinfoil hats on or whatever. Sorry, I don't mean to minimize it, but like, yeah, people have all these sort of armchair toy business theories out there being like, oh, they're overcharging. Like, I don't know, maybe, but I'm not going to quibble over the price. Like I see it like bottom line with all of these things. Same goes for Ghostbusters, RGB, any of the other things that people are scared of in terms of price. It's going to be up to each buyer to sort of figure out like, how much do I want this thing, and do all the calculations of like, how likely am I ever to get good real Ghostbusters figures again? Or, and kind of from there, it's ultimately how much will the market bear? How much will people pay?
Just put in a dummy address, Jorge. Just put in.
Oh, I already did it, by the way. I'm right here in South City. Like, they're based in San Francisco. It's still telling me it's $350 something, $30 for shipping.
That's
and
interesting.
I wonder if it was because if it was during the con, because there was a lot of that happening too. That maybe like folks at the con pre-ordering.
You pre-ordered it. Oh, you mean like you pre-ordered it during the weekend?
No, that's actually what it is, because Groon is free shipping at the con.
Okay, then that answers the question.
Yeah, so for me it would be $355, $88. That's 30
$355, and you're in California.
Yeah, I'm like down this like the warehouse
for
is
us,
not far.
Like $380 because we're like across the country, man.
But it says if I add $85 more of product, which is crazy, that's $385. Then you'll get free flat rate shipping, and I don't know what that flat rate was. Oh, for this thing, it's $30. Let's see. I'm gonna keep adding.
I got a question. Did they say how many points of articulation you have?
Let's see the specs. So the specs say.
I was guessing maybe like 18 points or something like that.
No. I'll tell you what it is. If we look at this side panel image, I know there's 3 cuts on the tail, right? So we got 3 cuts on the tail. Then there's the 4 legs. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Wings, 8, 9. The heads, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think it's about 15 points of articulation. It might be 17 because there's a weird kind of cut up here.
And the wings. Yeah, I saw that.
Which to me, it doesn't make any sense, because why would you want to split that wing? It's like if it's cracking or something. But if that's an articulation joint, then it's 17 points of articulation.
And which one is the picture that Jay was saying?
It's the one where Tiamat is.
Sorry, guys. I was outside because my dog was asking me.
She's standing on her back legs.
My dog was asking me to go out, and I didn't want her to pee inside the house.
It's this one right here.
Okay.
She's standing on her back legs.
I mean, don't make me wrong. It looks amazing. I mean, cartoon-wise and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, I don't remember the cartoon properly, to be honest with you. But she doesn't go more like scale with the reaction figures.
It depends. It's like those cartoons weren't great either. I mean, if you go back, like it, and I think I want to say Brian even mentioned this. Like, it just depends on which moment you see in the cartoon. Sometimes they're big, sometimes it's not. Scale shifts. So.
The cartoons are not a good barometer, are not a good measure of how size is. But we could also just take the idea that she's a shapeshifter. She can change size at any moment. So I mean, you can justify anything really at the end of the day. So it really is.
She can change. I don't remember, because I'm not like a huge fan of the cartoon, to be honest with you. I mean, and I don't remember pretty much but she can change sizes and stuff.
The character is a shapeshifter.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, so if we really want to compare, I'm trying to go back. Creative Beast Studio, they're doing Beasts of the Cyberzoic, and they've got that beautiful, I know you all know it, you've seen it, that Arctic Dragon, which is about the same size, super articulated, gorgeous paint. I paid less for that. Granted, it was during a Kickstarter. I don't know what it is right now. I'm checking what it's going for. It's cheaper than Tiamat. Wow. I paid less for that gorgeous thing. And I believe it's got to be roughly the same size.
Yeah, I wonder how it's gonna look next to the Four Horsemen dragon.
That's
gonna be
I love that. Keep that hope alive. Oh, Jude, the freaking Arctic dragon that I'm talking about is $215.
Wow.
230, but it's on sale.
And it's close to the same specs as the Tiamat?
Pretty close. It's like it's actually longer for sure. It's 31 inches long, 10 and a half inches tall.
Wow.
A little smaller height-wise, but fully articulated, wild like set of articulation points.
And sculpt.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I saw them. I saw them in PowerCon.
Yeah. But that said, like, that's why I'm like, you know, people are going to price things how they price things. And like Super 7 as a company, like they have their price points. They know their overhead. I don't. They know their market. I don't. And so it is what it is. And sort of like, I'll lodge that now before we get to, if we get to MOTU Snake Lair. But like at the end of the day, right, like I'm not even going to sit here and try and like say justify, like, is it actually worth it? I think at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the fans to be like,
the fans and the buyer. Whoever.
Is it going to be worth it for me to get this thing? Am I going to buy it? And we'll see. Just like anything else with Super 7 these days, you know, it's on for pre-order. If they don't get enough pre-orders, there it is.
Yeah, I mean,
the world moves on.
Ask me, I'm always brutal honest with stuff with Super 7, and Jorge knows me. Like, dude, to me, I mean, most of Super 7 stuff is garbage, dude. Like, to me. No, I hear you. It's fair. If you ask me, like, I mean, dude, like, I don't know, like you said, what's the overhead? I don't know everything's going on behind curtains with them, or how much money Brian Flynn make or anything like that. Actually, Brian Flynn is an amazing dude. I love the guy personally. I mean, I love the guy. I love the guy personally. But honestly, like, I wish in my dreams that the actual prototypes look at least similar to the final products they always come with. Like, it's terrible. I wish they put the same effort on the figures that they put on the packaging. You know, that's pretty much what it is. You know, like, they put so much effort on the package. I mean, if you've seen those package, like the boxes, you're like, oh my God. If you don't know anything about Super 7 and you've seen the boxes, you're like, oh my God, when I open this figure is gonna talk and it's gonna walk. It's gonna look like real. And when you open that thing, it's like, I mean, it's horrible. I mean, paint apps.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I guess where I'm at, like, I feel like I've grown up with that company, and like before it was a magazine and like covering like rare Japanese toys, and they've come a long way. And I just feel like the brand has always been pitched not like I don't know. I guess I just don't see them as like Super 7 is like I don't know, a Hasbro or even a Jada. Like, they very much so, it's been sort of like a niche pop cultural, almost artsy, like art object kind of stuff. So they put, you know, above and beyond, like way more than they need to into the like research of a thing and all the little parts and the boxes. And I totally get it. Somebody else actually said that in here. They're like, hey, if they just put them on a card back, they could save money. I totally get that, but that's not the brand. Like, that's never been the Super 7 brand. It's very much like this sort of premium pop cultural thing that at one point was who you went to find those kind of like, oh, that's cool. I never thought they would make something related to this thing that I love, that I have nostalgia for. But now they just obviously are doing things that are like bigger, have more attention, that I think, and they're not the only ones also. So I don't know. I guess I do tend to recognize, like, what kind of company are they? How are they positioning themselves? I don't see them as, you know, even like what Spiro's doing, right? Like, it's like, I'm doing a comic, I'm doing a toy. It's just a different type of company.
I mean,
and
Spiro Toys, like, the quality of their figures is insane. Like, you can.
I agree. No, I'm just kidding.
You can grab a Spiro, you can grab a AWOC figure and throw that figure from a building, and when you go down, it's gonna be intact.
Right.
And articulation, the plastic quality is insanity, dude. I mean, I always give props to Jason for that. I was like, dude, for you guys to be such a small company and starting with this first wave of figures that look like this, I'm like, you guys are like damn way ahead of everybody else in the game that have years on it.
Speaking of this thing, I think is dope. Like, go ahead. Yeah, go tell us about that, Super 7.
Speaking of quality, guys.
Oh my God, dude.
So this right here.
Is that one of the...
This is the Silverhawks,
the original
Silver cartoon version, right? I opened this puppy up 2 days ago.
You did it? Finally.
No. I got him recently. He was in my pile of loot, whatever. Long story short, I got him. I was like, awesome. Finally display my Quicksilver. I put him up on a shelf. Today I come back from work.
Oh, scheiße.
He took a dive because his joints are so loose on his ankles.
Were you trying to pause?
And then his foot just broke off.
Yeah.
Clean.
The peg is
my
inside.
God, that's terrible. Are you serious?
The ankle?
Yeah. Tell
you
me
want to
about
hear
the
a worst
articulation.
one, Rick? You remember that Wiley kit you got me?
Oh, no, man.
And I went to swap the heads. Her neck, the entire housing of the neck just cracked into pieces.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's bad. That they need to address that.
Yeah, tell me about the articulation.
That's horrible.
Tell me about the articulation on the torso that doesn't work.
For which?
Which one?
For that one. For the one you have for
Silverhawks.
Silver. Yeah.
Dude,
it's terrible.
It's just, here's the thing. I know what Brick is saying, like, they came from being a magazine to whatever, but they've taken on so many properties.
Yes, that's.
And I feel that maybe Brian's like just eating more, taking on more than he could chew, because they're not taking the time to communicate properly with the factories.
Yep.
To check the QC on these things, to check the tension tests on the plastics and stuff like that. And let's face it, these are the most expensive action figures you could get in the market right now, domestic. $55 a pop plus shipping if you're not getting free shipping. And you expect to have something that, oh wow, you're gonna open it and display it, and it's not gonna fall apart on you. It's not gonna like just be super loose or like paint chipping off. And I haven't had that experience personally, aside from this Quicksilver and the Wiley kit, surprisingly, with all the Thundercats that I have and all the other stuff. But I've seen some stuff and it's horrible. Yeah. But having said that, they got my money because they're smart. They got the good licenses. Thundercats. This was supposed to be this year's Comic-Con exclusive. The Mumra and the Lion-O in the toy colors with the LED lights, homaging the LJN figures. So these figures are, obviously Mumra is absolutely carbon copy to what everybody else has. It just has a recolor to it.
Is that for sure? Sorry, okay.
Yeah. This head, I believe, is a new head, but everything else is repainted. Lion-O, on the other hand, is 100% brand new from the ground up. Pinless joints. I'm not saying pinless joints is going to mean he's going to move better, but aesthetically, he looks cleaner. No exposed pegs on the sides. That's wonderful. It looks like it popped right out of one of my Thundercats DVD box sets. It's fantastic. Light up eyes. And recently, one thing that I was concerned about was addressed in a conversation with Brian at Comic-Con, and it's that the lighting feature is not going to hinder the range of motion on the head. It's actually like a ball peg that when that's pressed down, that turns on the light, I guess, inside the torso. So there's still going to be full ball socket range.
When you're talking about the articulation on the neck, you said just the swivel, right?
No, it's not a swivel. It's a ball socket.
Because that's the only thing that they do.
No, it's a ball socket. It's just
I'm messing with you, dude. I'm messing with you.
Is that no? Some of them don't move properly. I hear you, man. I've told Brian on many interviews, like, can you like put a swivel hinge on the necks, just to give that little bit more give on the heads for the figures. And I guess, for me, I just feel like Brian is just anti hyper articulation, to be honest with you, because I addressed that. We were talking about the new Turtles and how they have double knees and double elbows. And, this has been discussed back and forth. I mean, Mad Hatter had a video specific on it. He called bullshit on it, where he's like, I can't believe Brian's saying that these TMNT Turtles are the only ones that are justifiably more articulated, because kids that had these figures back in the day had that type of articulation. Back then, there was no double joints. So I don't know where he came out with that comment from, but it was so like left field for a response to justify that. Like, I don't see why they can't just incorporate, hey, double joints from now on across the Ultimates line. You don't know how much their sales would just like blow up, man, because there's a lot of people that are either on the fence or just jumped off the wagon completely with Super 7 because of the lack of range of motion,
The thing is, we have a mutual friend. I'm not gonna throw anybody in front of the boss because he works for them, right? And he told me, like, Carlos, you don't know how many times I tell them, hey guys, you can save on this aspect, you can save on this and that, so you can make better figures, and they don't listen. And he told me the problem is what Jorge said. The problem is, like, Brian Flynn, he's not there checking what he's supposed to check. I mean, it's a big company now. It's not a boutique company like before. And they don't pay enough attention to the final product. And I'm going to put the best example. How possible is that the first wave of MOTU Ultimates looks way better than everything else from Super 7 during all these years? And you know why? It's because they used the same factory Mattel was using to make the Ultimates. That's why the first wave of Ultimates in MOTU, they look amazing. The Faker, the He-Man, the Skeletor, the Tila, and the Ramman, they look amazing. But then they went the cheap route to do their stuff, and that's how you get like the final product.
You know what? I'm not disagreeing with you, Carlos. I'm not. I mean, everything you said makes sense. Everything you said makes sense. But here's actually where I think it really boils down to in a lot of ways. Pre-pandemic, I think that they had a good relationship with the factory, just like what Carlos said. I think that the factory that they were using was a good factory. But after that, I think what's actually happened, and because again, I'm only speaking from the inside looking in now, right? Because again, myself and Brick, we have the for good fortune of actually having worked with toy companies now. I think what's happening is that you need a good project manager on the inside. Without a good project manager on the inside, there's not going to be QC. There will be no QC.
100%.
Right? And I think that that's really what it boils down to. Because as Carlos said earlier, prior to the first, or actually it was more like the second wave of Thundercats, everything looked good. You know what I mean? Like the molds they inherited from Matty Collector, they were fine. You know what I mean? But slowly after that, things started to go downhill a little bit. It was really apparent with the Silverhawks face paint. I mean, those are just horrendous, right? And I do think that it really does have a lot to do with who's managing the floor.
Yeah,
it really does have a lot to do with that.
100%.
There's a lot of hit and miss because, for example, the slide figure is absolute perfection.
Oh, I love that thing.
Figure. It has great range of motion.
Yes.
It has so much personality. And then there's figures like Mongor, which is a pretty recent figure. Amazing, great range of motion. So much personality. It's just a beautiful, shell piece.
Momra transform.
Oh, the
That's a gorgeous
living
one.
Mondo is
It's
fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then you have figures.
Monsters, they do
you
so
know.
well. They do monsters so well for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to more humanistic figures, it just seems like they can't nail it 100%.
Dude,
Yeah, like
you
Tiger, for
hit,
example.
no, he hit the nail. Jay hit the nail. The problem with Super 7 is
Mhm.
the humanoid faces. They are horrendous, dude.
Well, it depends on what we're talking, because I think Biggie looks dope. I think Cliff Burton's awesome. Like the musician figures are different. And again, it's a different game. I think there's maybe licensor approval issues. Like there's a back and forth again that we're not privy to. There's different designers, dynamics.
Could that also be because they are fans of music?
I mean, yeah,
fans of music.
Maybe, but I don't want to take that away from them, because I know the folks that are working there are like hardcore fans of like Thundercats, and I don't think they're like I don't think anybody no one sets out to do a crap job.
But there's the thing, right? Their paint masters look amazing.
Yeah,
all their paint masters look incredible.
When it comes back from the factory,
yes,
it's like the Sheen version of what they show.
Yeah, exactly. We talked to the
like
Horsemen. Remember, Jorge? We talked to the Horsemen and LegionsCon, and they're like, dude, we make the prototypes. They hire us to do the prototypes. The final product is not on us.
Yes, I agree. I do believe, and I stand by this, as I said earlier. It's the factory. I think whoever's in charge of the factory, whoever's project managing the factory, because I do remember pre-pandemic, Brian used to say he used to go to China all the time. Now it's much more difficult to go to China. There's a lot of red tape that's involved right now. So you need the right project manager on the other side to really do a good job.
They need to hire Jason from AWOC, from Spirit.
he's not going over to China though.
Dude,
it's not it,
he told me something that is really true, and I mean I believe him 100%. He said the actual language barrier is something that is really important too. Yeah, and Jason knows the language, so he can communicate with them perfectly. And that's one of the things somebody told me, that's one of the major things for them to have the product they have.
Wait, you're saying Jason Bienvenu speaks like Mandarin or Cantonese?
Yes.
How did I not know this? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sure. Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons. He told me one of the main reasons is because I can communicate.
Are you sure
with
it's
them.
not their factory? The manager?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still you're communicating with the project manager at the end of the day, right?
Who speaks the language. I don't think Jason does. Yeah.
No. I think what Jorge means is the language of, after all these years speaking the language, the shorthand with toys, not Chinese.
No, he said Mandarin. But maybe the wires got crossed in conversation. I don't believe that's the case. I believe it's more so that they have a great production manager who has been in the game for a while, has relationships in China, and of course speaks the language. So that takes all of that out of the equation.
100%.
So what I think, I wanted to just say, because just to finish off with this Super 7 rant, I love these figures. This Lino is my definitive Rankin Bass cartoon-based Lino. Now, having said that, I hope that when I receive these figures, because yes, I bought one to rock, one to stock, right? But I hope that when I receive these figures, it's not going to look like something I bought off Temu. Okay, I hope it looks like the prototype that we're looking at here, because unfortunately, that happens sometimes with Super 7 product, and I don't see it happening with any other toy brand out there.
That's not entirely true. I
mean, I've seen breakage. I got the Mafex Batman Dark Knight with horse.
Well, real quick, sorry, Jay had something, but I'll just throw out that we were just talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and we all saw those Hasbro Dungeons and Dragons figures. So
yeah, those scale better. Those definitely
those came back horrible QC wise.
Oh no, yeah, they were I was talking about the size. They scale better.
Oh, sure. But I just meant to. Sorry, Jay, were you referring to the? Were you referring to were you going to comment on the?
Yeah. I was talking about
true?
how I was talking about QC. I was talking about
Yeah.
QC and I'm sorry if you were just talking about size, I get it, but I'm just talking about QC.
No,
Like,
absolutely.
a lot of
Those
companies,
Hasbro figures look like
a lot
they
of companies have that problem too. Sometimes it's a Friday problem, sometimes it's a Monday problem. It's just like manufacturing cars. Some people are just asleep at the wheel sometimes. It does happen.
Just look at NECA. NECA have so many problems with the articulation breakage during so many years till they finally figured it out, and now they're like amazing. But they had a lot of problems with the articulation breakage back in the days.
Yeah,
you could still argue that sometimes it still happens. I mean, nothing's perfect. But yeah, they try their best, and again, because they insist on using paint, a lot of times the paint rubs off. You know what I mean? It's beautiful paint, but you manipulate it too much, and all of a sudden the paint's rubbing off. Again, not every company no company's perfect, right? So, but anyway, the Comic-Con was incredible, and I'm really excited to see what the rest of these figures are going to look like when they finally show up.
So I just want to bring up, because obviously we didn't talk too much at length about anything else, but Mondo, to me, was, one of the winners for this year as far as reveals. And they had some amazing product on display this year that pretty much satisfies so many palettes. Not only did they have this awesome Lion-O, there's a great picture they took here with awesome lighting and everything, but that new Scare Glow, dude. Oh my God.
Killer.
That thing is
scary,
insane. And I haven't picked up a MOTU 1/6 in a bit. I just recently, luckily, I got a review sample of the Orko, and I'm gonna be unboxing that one soon. But I got the Tila, which for some reason mine hasn't shipped yet, and I haven't pre-ordered anything else.
Mine hasn't shipped either. So,
but dude, this one right here is a must. I gotta get this piece.
It's beautiful.
I don't know how you guys are feeling. I know, Carlos, you're out of the 1/6 game. Rick, I don't think you collect 1/6, right?
No, man, I never started the 1/6 game. I can't. But I will say, I love what they're doing with Masters of the Universe. I love that they're having the freedom to create new things as well as lean in on the sort of the tradition of these characters. So just like with all their other stuff where they'll give us something that's a little bit more familiar to us in terms of art and design, oh, that's an Orko head, I know. They'll also give us things that we weren't familiar with, right? Design. So when I look at that Mondo Scare Glow, their take on it, man, it's really cool. It's such a cool take on the character. We're getting the human form, which I thought was amazing, and of course, a brand new horse, his steed. All of that is great. And
they're using a new body, which I love the body because he's moving exactly like the Skeletor with the new articulation on the torso. That's amazing.
Yeah, this is one big one here for me. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Grew up, actually learned English when I was little because I grew up in a Cuban, all Spanish-speaking family, and I learned English watching the 1960s Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
nice.
That was my early introduction to Easel, was Spider-Man. And this right here is so amazing because it's knowing what Mondo's known for, what they've accomplished with X-Men the Animated Series, and to bring that now into the Spider-Man game, it's a whole new ball game. And I just spoke to Alex Brewer today, Plastic 4, which is in charge of doing the sculpts for these. And I was asking him about the articulation on Spider-Man. He says that they pushed the articulation a little bit. He has double knees, double elbows, and he moves a little bit better. I don't have the Cyclops. I don't think anybody has the Cyclops, but he was saying that he has the range of motion that the Cyclops figure has. So they're pushing the articulation a little bit more. I'm hoping he has something maybe like a butterfly joint. Doesn't look like it does, but he says it's definitely going to move a lot better than all the previous 1/6 that they've done. And that's something that's important because it's Spider-Man and he's known to be in more of those dynamic poses. This one, for example, Venom, that's amazing. It looks like it jumped right out of the screen. Again, Alex Brewer is crushing it with the animated series, and his interpretation in 3D on ZBrush is just fantastic. Here's a close-up of Spidey.
I love that.
So freaking cool. And I don't know if you guys saw the Mondo stream prior to Comic-Con, but Hector had the hand holding Green Goblin's mask, and it's such a fun accessory that they're giving the figure. Obviously, you're going to have the Peter Parker head, the camera. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a Peter Parker figure, maybe like an SDCC exclusive next year. Then going into Batman, they had this beautiful Poison Ivy on display. Great. That's going to be an awesome piece as well.
That's out of the cartoon.
Yeah, this Clayface was a showstopper.
How big was that? Did you happen to see that, Jay? How big is this? This guy's got to be almost pushing 18 inches.
He's massive. He's absolutely massive. Yeah.
Was he like that big, Jay? Like 18 inches?
Again, 18 inches, 12 inches. It's hard to say when you're there, but I'd say he's way bigger than for example, Omega Red. Like he's.
I think if we see,
okay, maybe way bigger is the wrong term, but he's bigger than Omega Red. Like I'll say it that.
Like wider.
Oh well, wider for sure. I mean, like the guy
and taller,
right? Yeah.
I'm surprised nobody's taking pictures of because obviously
of them like side by side, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because Poison Ivy was right next to him, so it would have been perfect to see that scale. Poison Ivy next to Clayface.
Yeah, maybe not quite 18, but you figure Poison Ivy's like got to be like anywhere between 11 and 12, maybe. So
I'm thinking Clayface might be maybe 14 inches tall because they said Mumra the Ever Living is going to be 15 inches tall, and Mumra the Ever Living has to be enormous. So I don't see why they would do Clayface bigger than that. You know what I mean? But
what size was Beastman?
Beastman was about 13 and a half inches tall.
You can see the back of Clayface next to
Yeah, there you go. So here you can kind of get an idea where the hat, it's probably along the lines of like 13 and a half, maybe like Beastman size for Clayface. And Beastman is huge.
You know what? I think you're right. I think Beastman is a really good comparison. I think that actually makes a lot of sense.
And I think Mumra is going to be sort of like Beastman scale, or maybe a little bit bigger. But man, this Lion-O right here, bro, it's amazing. I know that it's not everybody's Lion-O, but that's not what Mondo's trying to do. They're trying to do that Mondo touch, like they do with MOTU, with the Thundercats. And I appreciate
I love the color of the vest, dude. It looks so freaking nice.
I appreciate the creativity and everything that goes behind the thought process. And let me tell you, I love this Snarf. I know a lot of people are like, ooh, it's Creeper Snarf and this and that. This is basically, when you look at this Lion-O, what you look at what they're doing collectively, because I spoke to Hector about this, it's like they're trying to do what Thundercats would look like if there was a feature film being produced. So they're not really trying to do a Rankin Bass kind of toy line like what Super 7 is doing. They're already doing that in 1/12 scale, right? This Snarf looks to me like something that came out of Labyrinth. It's like a Jim Henson kind of puppet creature. And that's what I love about it, because it captures the essence of Snarf, but it adds that organic realism to it, where you can feel like this thing could be in your living room. It could be like a creature, a living creature, not a cartoon. And
that lion head is amazing.
Yeah.
The feral, yeah.
Yes.
No, the amount of stuff that you get, and if you notice, he brings 5 heads. I thought he was going to bring 4 heads, and then this this standard default head was going to have glow in the dark eyes, but no, they gave him the glow in the dark eyes, or the call eyes, what you would call it, as a separate complete head. So you're getting a total of 5 heads. The cape, the ceremonial cape, there's the dagger, the 2 claw shields, furry and metallic. The lightning is removable, so it can be attached to either the Mondo sword or the cartoon sword. And fun fact, when this was early in the stages of thought, Peter reached out to me and sent me a text, and he's like, dude, if a 112 Lion-O figure were to be made, give me your wish list of what it should have. And this blast of the sword, the Book of Omens, pretty much everything here except for the crown head, this kind of chained blade kind of thing, which I really don't even remember. Everything else, I put it in that text message, man. And it's kind of awesome to think that the origin or the birth of the creation of this was inspired partially by my notes. So
that's cool, man.
I'm super stoked on this, and it's an amazing piece. And being a Thundercats fan, obviously I'm biased, but man, this is beautiful. This is like a love letter to Thundercats fans. Like, you don't have to be purist in the sense that, like, oh, this has to be Rankin Bass, because we know that all it takes is a different brush, a different paint palette, and they could turn this into a cartoon version. They could turn it into a toy version. So, they can please all those audiences. But I'm glad that they came out of the gate with their rendition first, and then we can see all these other variants later on down the line. Because I know that this line is going to be successful. It's going to be like MOTU. Hopefully we'll get like 4 or 5 characters a year, including exclusives, obviously. Because
that Lion throws He-Man into the water, dude.
Oh, I mean, it's something that's never been made. So they're gonna go hard, they went hard, and this thing it's just fantastic.
It looks
Tommy
fantastic.
Hodges totally killed it with the sculpt, the work on this in 3D. We saw the 3D renders, but man, seeing this painted and on display, what do you guys think? I think this is gonna be more along the lines of like Scare Glow. I think this is gonna be like $275 or $260. What do you guys think?
I haven't been paying attention, honestly, enough to these from that perspective to know how much was that first, not the He-Man that came with all of the stuff quite, but not the one with like the 3 different outfits, but like how much was the first He-Man?
So the standard He-Man was like $220, right?
No, yeah, it was $240, I believe. I mean, okay. the difference between the Lux and Mondo MOTU figures.
Yeah, it's only about $60.
With the regular figures, it's like maybe $20 of.
Yeah, well, sometimes depends. It could be anywhere between 40 and like 40 and $60, but it's really not that expensive. If you're not missing out on a lot. Like that, like later he'll probably only have 1 head extra, and probably won't come with Snarf, right?
I will say $260.
Yep. Yeah, I'm thinking the standard
seems to make sense to me based on what else they've done. Yeah,
the standard version I think is going to be no Snarf, and it's probably not going to have the feral head, and it probably won't have the coronation head or the cape. But I think everything else will come with the standard.
Well, maybe the sword is not coming. One of the swords.
The cartoon sword, maybe. But yeah, nonetheless, man. And you know what? Actually, now that I'm looking at it, it looks like they just gave us a whole other sword.
Yeah, I think so.
With the electrical charge attached to it. Yep. So it's not removable, which is it's okay. But I had suggested that it be removable so you can display it And since they did a Mondo version and a cartoon version, it would have been cool to give that option where you could put it on the Mondo sword or the cartoon sword. But I guess,
but I think it's the same issue. The same issue with Prince Adam. Prince Adam was the one who bring the effect, and it was attached to the sword.
Okay, so yeah, that's probably what it is. But yeah, that's that was the main thing I really wanted to geek out on, because man, it's amazing to see Thundercats come so far from where they've been. I mean, let's say 10 years ago, there was barely anything Thundercats. Then Mattel announced Club Third Earth. Then that didn't happen. Then Super 7 swooped in a few years later, and we're already 11 waves deep, not in stock, but so far solicited and in production. A Thunder Tank, a Cat Slayer, and now a premium 1/6 scale toy line. It's amazing. I think hopefully next year, I'm hoping that's going to be the year that either a Netflix animated series is going to be announced or a feature film. And it would be perfect timing because it's the 40th anniversary. So
I know what you're saying, Jorge, but I don't know. I've just like Master Universe, I don't think it's going to happen. They just don't know what they want to do with these things. The properties themselves are so non Hollywood. Hollywood's scared. Hollywood just does not want to take risks on anything that doesn't have a proven model to back it. Right? Marvel's given them a lot of courage in a sense of like superhero movies. But when it comes to original IPs, which really are fantastic, they always have to have some sort of Earth element to it. And I mean, look at He-Man. They need to tie in a freaking Earth, aspect to it. They got to throw him into. They got to toss him to Earth, like grow up here first, and then toss him back to Eternia. I'm very scared that they're going to do a very similar thing with Third Earth. Third Earth is not going to be Third Earth. It's going to be First Earth. You know what I mean? It's going to be now, right? And when the Thundercats come here, right, they're gonna have to deal with humans. It scares me, and I'd rather they not do it. I'd rather they don't do it. I'd rather they do a CG animated version. Just give it the proper due. Like give it the right treatment. That's my wish, right?
Yeah, like DC, like what DC does with their cartoons. I mean, they're doing amazing with those.
100%. I totally agree.
Yeah, I think a Netflix animated would be great. But just to go back real quick, everything that I was saying about Super 7 and the way it's positioned as a company, Mondo's the same thing. Like Mondo was always art first, pop culture and art first, right? Art and design. And so it doesn't surprise me. And I'm glad that with Thundercats, they're just like, no, art first. Like you come to us, to Mondo, like, because we have a vision of like, we've got great taste. We can, do great artwork. We'll take the thing that you love. We'll give you something that's familiar enough, but we're gonna make it Mondo, right? We're gonna get like our great artists to reinterpret these things, and I'm really excited that that's the way they landed. Because like frankly, like I mean, I'm fine with like obviously Super 7 has like done the line, the Thundercats line, and they've gone super farther than it's ever been. That's great. Why would I need the same thing scaled up? It's the same thing with Masters of the Universe. When I saw them come out with that stuff, it's like, man, how many different Masters of the Universe lines do we have? Give me their interpretation and give me something cool. So I look at that Thundercat, that Lion-O, and I think it's great. Like, I'm just selfishly wish they'd scale it down and give it to me. It's something that I could collect. But well, like,
hey, who knows? They're doing now Masters
that
of
too.
the Universe.
Yes, yeah. So that's exciting, and real Ghostbusters.
Watch out, Super 7.
Yeah, but I'll just say
it's the same like what Mezco does with their action figures.
Yeah,
they always Mezconize their action figures.
Yeah,
like, and that's one of the main keys where I love Mezco so much, because they put their own twist on their stuff.
Versus Super 7 really trying their best to kind of give you the thing that you remember, and that's fine. Like, but like as the way I collect those designs that you just showed of what Mondo's doing with Lion-O is like, that's what I want on my shelf. I love that finally we're getting like, I love Thundercats, but I've always struggled seeing Lion-O because it literally looks like a human being painted. Like he wasn't very cat-like. So to see like that one head with that real like Beauty and the Beast sort of snout was like, okay, that's cool. To see the fur, that's cool. Like, and they're just giving, you know, I guess it's like, I've always said this about a lot of the toys that I collect. It's like when I was playing with that He-Man figure back in the day, like we know what that sculpt looks like and we love it. But when I, you know, sort of like, I want the 2024 version that was in my head, right? Like what I imagined when I was playing with those toys. Same with G.I. Joe. Like we all know what those 3 3/4 like vintage look like, but in my head, they look like classified figures. They look dope in my head, and Classified's doing that. So when I see someone go like, okay, we're doing Thundercats, but we're going to give you something like hyper detailed, etc. Like I'm super about that design, including the snarf. I'm with you. Like it's cool. It's different. It's weird. It's almost like a Mad Magazine. I was saying that it reminds me of like Mad Magazine artists like take on some of the
like heavy metal.
Sure, even there. But like, man, I don't know. It's so it's funny that you bring that up, because then they're like, well, let's flex a little, because it's not like we can't be faithful to the stuff. Like they do that too. But for Thundercats, honestly, I'm just glad that they did do a little bit of like interpretation the way they're doing with Master.
They look amazing. They look that battle. I mean, Lionel looks incredible, dude.
And I imagine, well, I'll just say for the rest of us, imagine what the other characters are going to look like. Right.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just imagine.
Just if,
the cat is out of the hat. Look at that.
There is so much stuff to talk about, guys. I think we have to do a part 2. Fortunately, I gotta go. I know. I'm sure you guys.
Yeah, no, but you can't do a part 2 and expect to even cover. That's what I was saying this weekend. Like SDCC, it was so much. No, good luck.
Too much. But this was the last
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
We still have Hasbro, Mezco,
Oh my God, dude.
NECA.
The last thing I wanted to cover is this, which is the Ghostbusters, real Ghostbusters animated figures in 1/12 scale. Again, Mondo. This is amazing. I love the cartoon. It has such a creep factor to it, in the sense of the animation and the way they interpreted the creatures and the ghosts and stuff, where it was even scarier than the actual feature films. So having these creatures like Sam Hain and the Boogeyman made into plastic for the very first time, it's incredible. Having said that, I know the price is not exactly what people expected. It's a little bit too much for some people's wallets, but we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know how much the licensing agreement was on this, how much the licensor is telling Mondo that they have to sell at. We don't know all those specs. This is like a 2.5 pack, because the monsters are basically almost, some of them, for example, Sam Hain is about the size of the Jubilee 1/6 scale figure from X-Men, the animated series. So while the Ghostbusters themselves are 1/12, the monsters are like big monsters. They're not scaled like the Ghostbusters. So it's almost like a 1.5 pack. I mean, a 2.5 pack. So with that, the accessories, the bonus ghost, the extra heads on the monsters themselves, and then of course, like we said, all the other stuff we're not privy to. I think the 202 is a little steep. I'm gonna get them because there's 1 1/4, and this is something I definitely want in my collection. But I think they would have been more along the lines of like 150 would have been a little more reasonable. But the articulation on these guys is single jointed in some places, but where it's needed, like I mentioned before, Alex was telling me there's ball socket joints on the shoulders so that they can hold the neutrino wands in a better angle and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And overall, I think it's total win. I think these are going to be awesome. I can't wait to see more and more ghosts. It would be amazing if they do stuff like an Ecto and things like that in this scale. But it's really going to be interesting to keep track with Mondo and see how they progress in this 1/12 realm, because they've never ventured into this realm before. So everything they've been doing has been gold, in my opinion, as far as 1/6. So if they bring that gold and that creativity and that masterfulness into 112 and soup up the articulation, it's game over.
So how much are these guys now? With they come in 2-packs, right?
Just 202.
$202.
$202. Okay, so they're priced like Japanese figures then, right? Where each figure is about $100 each, right?
For us,
like
yeah.
Storm collectibles and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they come in 2-packs, right?
Well, Storm is not, but yes. But I was just saying for us, because having gone to just recently, like that's the imported price for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How much are they in Japan? Like if you were to buy them,
Mayfix,
they're a lot cheaper. They're like
Mayfix are like $60.
I could get SH figs for like $40.
Yeah,
in Japan,
$45,
the import price is what really like.
I can buy from Ning Ning or AliExpress a Mayfix figure for $65.
Yeah.
Right, but so again, I'm just pointing that out because it's a little bit different, right? It's sort of like it's a company that clearly has to import it or whatever. But I guess to me, I said earlier I kind of liken them to Super 7 because it's a similar deal. Like you don't buy a Mondo vinyl and are like, oh yeah, that's like going to cost you only $100. No way. We know how much those things cost, right? They're not cheap product that they do, and so. They have a premium price tag. It's a license, so they're dealing with Hasbro on this one, right? Which is a thing people should keep in mind. Like that's probably gonna play a role in this. And you know, you're talking 2 figures, etc. Like you're gonna pay a premium price. This is like what you're buying with like an Ultimate. It's like, oh, it's a $55 single figure. Like what? Here you're getting 2 figures, $200.
Well, guys, I wanted to bring this one up. I know there's a lot more to talk about. We can, do like a part 2 of this conversation.
There's so much. There's so much. There's so much to cover, and this will be like an ongoing series for another week or two.
For sure.
There was just so much. There was too much to see. It was just like this year especially, because they cut out all the video games were gone. Like when I was there were no video games for the most part. Like usually you'd see 1 or 2 video games out there. There was practically nothing. So the whole hallway got filled up with so many things, right?
Yeah,
and it was incredible. So we could keep this going for weeks. It's
if
crazy.
you guys want to stay on and keep discussing stuff, I gotta go. But or do we wrap?
No, everybody needs to go.
I'm in the same boat.
So thank you everybody that came on. Thank you for joining us. It's been awesome. We're definitely gonna cover more stuff in our next stream. And for our guest, Rick, thank you so much for participating with us.
Of course, man.
It's a pleasure. And Mega J, dude, awesome having you. And looking forward to our collaboration. We'll talk about that on a later stream. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Geek proud, and we'll see you in the toy house.
Yeah.
Easy, guys. Geek proud.
Yeah, man. He had to get out.
Out.
I got the 2 kids that I gotta take care of. My wife is in Texas, but hey, great to see you both. And Jay, I haven't seen you in a while, man. Glad to see you.
Too long, guys.
Get some rest.
Right, guys,
get your health back up.
Get better, dude.
I gotta try it, but I'll talk to you.
You too, Carlos. Take care of that.
Don't worry, dude. I'm gonna be better. Don't worry.
All right.
We're all
old men. Yeah.
We're all old, man, but we're getting better.
All right. See you guys.
All right, boys.
Take care, guys. Bye. Thank you so much.
You too. Bye.